Hi, everyone. Shauna Robinson, Wellness A to Z, and I am here with my friend Sarah Ahmed, who is an absolutely amazing recruiter, in addition to being an amazing person. She and I connected probably in our very first conversation. I think it was just we knew that there was going to be a friendship there from probably the first time we said hello. So, Sarah is amazing. And I wanted to talk to Sarah today because, again, she is a recruiter. It is kind of a crazy job market. And I know that she has a wealth of information to share with you guys about how to, look for a job. What are some best practices, resume tips, everything like that. So first and foremost, thank you, Sarah, so much for your time and your energy and everything that you're going to share. How and why did you get into recruiting?
Yeah, thanks so much, Shauna. I'm honored that you think so. So I really appreciate it. So, very quick synopsis of my background. I've been in recruiting for 15 years, actually, and how and why I got into recruiting. Look, I actually, heart and soul, really wanted to study psychology, and I just knew like people and understanding how people work and understanding what motivates people really was of the most interest to me. And then my parents kind of said, look, you need a business degree and you need to figure it out. And so I ended up I ended up studying business management, and I had an emphasis in HR and organizational psychology. And so here we are 15 years later. It was my first job out of school, and it just resonated with me. And I got to kind of marry the business world and marry kind of understanding people. And so that's how I got here.
It's amazing. And I mean, you are definitely somebody who, it's like you are in the right job. You are definitely like living your why and living your passion. I mean, you guys is incredible with people. She was always my go-to when we worked together. It was like I needed, a sounding board and some guidance, and Sarah was right there. So, going back to the recruiting piece of things, and it is such a crazy job market. What guidance would you give people as far as, a resume? What do you look for when you look at resumes, and what are the things that stand out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the importance, like everyone, and as technology has kind of advanced, it impacts every single role in every single organization. So in terms of how technology has impacted recruiting is that we don't have much time. And so we are always running a million miles a minute, and we're either sourcing and screening resumes, or we're either closing and negotiating offers, or we're either scheduling interviews and managing our hiring manager relationships. So, in terms of resume tips, like really, really highlight and summarize and be as succinct as possible. And that's just the most important thing, right? Like you really need to get in tune with yourself and get very clear on the things that you're most proud of and what your biggest accomplishments are, and be able to succinctly summarize that in either quantifiable measurable results, or what is the impact that you had in each role, and really pare it down to a couple just impactful one or two bullet points. And that's really important. And we're not in the world of like, let alone 5 or 10 page resumes or CVs, right? Like that was a thing before. We're like one pagers, right? Like what summarize yourself in one page. And that could be, advice for a fresh grad with one, less than no experience. And that could be the same advice for someone with 10, 15 plus years of experience. But it's really, step one is really getting to know yourself and what are your major accomplishments and what are you most proud of.
Yeah, I love that. And that's when I guide my clients, I always say, your resume is like the back of a book cover, right? Like you want to hit the high notes, you want to like make people excited about giving, picking up the phone, sending you that email to give you a call. And so I love that, you mirrored that. It's, really what is your impact? What are those, key results? What's going to make you stand out? And, now that we're moving into, things are being done online now. I mean, we don't have the option of, meeting in person. We have to make this impression over a video call. I mean, what are some of your best practices or tips that you would, provide people in standing out in a video call?
Yeah, 100%. Look, right now, yes, it's a hard job market. Yes, there's a lot of hiring freezes going on, and there are, unfortunately layoffs going on at some organizations, and we're in a very tough spot, right? And so, if you are a person that has been recently laid off, or if you're a person that is just concerned that you may get laid off soon, like, here's the deal. The beauty of the quarantine, and the beauty of I'm saying it like the hidden silver lining, is that people are at home and they are available, and they can pick up calls, and they can take a moment to have just a connection call. Like, I've actually been coaching people to do this, and I've been doing it myself. Like, just people that I've reached out to or connected with in the past, I'm like, hey, let's do 15 minutes on a phone call. I'm not sure how busy you are, but even if it's not right now, let's build a relationship for the future. And so that just shows a proactivity, it shows initiative, it shows so many things, and really personalize these messages. We're not in a world, like, again, whatever pandemic is out there outside of our four walls right now, like, let's take the opportunity to slow down, personalize your message, understand who you're connected to, and why this makes sense, and why this person would want to connect with you, and just look at everything from an opportunity standpoint. And that is key and crucial. Like, for me, being in the business for 15 years, and having worked up and down the East Coast, and then having connections on the West Coast, we're all humans, we're all in this together. And this is the absolute perfect opportunity to be proactive and connect, because people are, naturally slowing down. So
Yeah, I love that. And I've been giving the same guidance, reach out to your LinkedIn connections, even if it's a second degree or third degree connection. It's time to build, right? Like, we have that time. It's not, you don't need to be so frantic when, things do start to pick up. Now is the time to sort of sow your oats or weave the fabric or whatever, you want to say. And then when they do get that call, like, hey, I want to, jump on the phone with you. I want to walk through your experience. I want to maybe set up a video interview with you. What are some things that you would, what would you tell people, and how to, prepare for a video interview?
absolutely. And again, video interview, either if it's for a particular role, there's obviously the prep that goes into that. But if you're talking just casual connection video interview, you've reached out to some hiring manager, or a person that just has a very interesting profile at a company that you've been following. Okay, let's give that as the example. Prepare, like, understand that person's background, like, understand the company, and really, I start every conversation with some sort of acknowledgement and just appreciation, right? Like, it's like, look, how cool is this? I know we're both working from home, and I really appreciate you taking this time to connect with me. Thank you. And, this is why I'm interested in the work that you're doing. I really want to make the connection, because I'm super impressed, and this is where, I want to take my career. So the prep is more like bringing yourself to what this person is and what they're about, and making it an authentic, like, specific connection, right? Because BS, we all smell BS, especially all of us recruiters. Like, that is the number one skill that you build. And so, I want to speak to authentic people. I want to really understand what you're going to bring to the table. I want to really understand if this is a valuable connection. Is this someone that I want to actually invest time and energy in?
Yeah, I love that. And that authenticity. And I coach people, tell your story. Your story is so interesting and engaging. And it's not just the bullets on your resume. It's, how did you get to those bullets? How did you make those things happen? How did you triumph? How did you thrive? How did you, kind of pick yourself up if you've fallen down? I think those things, I've recruited as well. I've spent more time on the HR side, but it's, you want to hear that. You want those authentic connections. I love that. What are some things to avoid?
Yeah, I mean, look, and I've been a victim, I guess you would say, of kind of getting in your head and starting to ramble, and, like, not really get your thoughts. Like, here's the thing: don't just, like, when you find yourself on a call and maybe nerves came up, or maybe some sort of like insecurity came up, or they asked you a question where you really didn't know the answer, and you started to just kind of talk through it, and you can just actually stop yourself, right? And so I would avoid continuing to go down that path. Like from a, you know, I'm a manager, I have a team of people, and obviously I'm a recruiter by heart, but I'm so much more genuinely impressed with people that just, you know, say, you know what, I'm sorry, let me take a moment to regroup. Like, I, you know, can you repeat the question? Actually, let me just make sure I heard it correctly. I think I, you know, went down a wrong path. Like, we're all human. It happens. Like, you don't have to be afraid of apologizing or pausing, you know. So my biggest advice is, you know, because I've been in those interviews, and you guys may have interviewed people as well, like, you know, you get in those situations where people just get nervous, and it's natural and it's okay. Like, I would rather them acknowledge the nervousness than continue down that path, and then I don't actually really learn anything about them. So
I love that. Any other pieces of advice or guidance for job seekers right now that maybe we haven't touched on? I mean, I know this is a whole long, big topic, but you know, just
sure.
little pieces of advice.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, right now, again, I keep focusing on this as an opportunity because we have time. We are, the universe, this pandemic, you know, is really just forcing us to slow down. And you have an opportunity to really research, and you have an opportunity to really understand what's available to you and what companies are out there and what's really of interest to you. Because, you know, we're now in a world where, you know, there's going to be less demand for job seekers, and there's going to be more supply of job seekers, right? Did I say that right, Shauna? Yeah.
Good.
So the more informed you are, and the more passionate you are, and the more compelling your interest is in the particular area that you want to get into, that's what's going to set you apart. So, you know, my biggest advice to anyone right now, and I'm trying to take it for myself, right? I've been with my company for almost 3 years now, and like, you know, I've learned so much, and I've grown so much, and I love what I do, and I never want to not know what else is out there, right? Because we have to take responsibility for our career. You know, if you are in a position where you've been recently laid off, or you're afraid to get laid off, it's very easy to get into victim mentality and fear and make decisions based on those two things, right? And frankly, and I'll speak just freely because we're all people, it sucks, right? If you've ever been laid off, it sucks, okay? And it takes a second, and it takes a second to bounce back. And so, you know, you have a choice at that point. Do I choose to suffer, and do I choose to kind of, you know, be upset and be a victim, or do I look at this as an opportunity and, you know, take whatever time you need, and layoffs, or you know, financial stress, it's a grieving process, right? You know, even thinking about a pay cut right now is a grieving process, right? What life used to be may not be what life is going to be in my next role after this situation. And that's actually okay. And take the time you need to grieve that. And then, you know, allow yourself to be as whole and complete as possible, right? And just really, 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 truly focus on you and what interests you and what you're passionate about. And again, as a hiring manager, as a recruiter, like, I can't even tell you how many times I've heard it. And I work in tech. I hire engineers for the most part, but I've hired all sorts of skill sets. Like, every hiring manager is like, that hunger and that drive and that just go-getter, and it's so cliche, but I'll say go-getter mentality, like, they will take that in a heartbeat over the one that has all of the credentials, right? Especially now, because, you know, we're not in a place anymore where hiring decisions are being made, and like, you know, it's like, okay, a team of 10 people, like, we'll get it done. No, it's going to be like a team of the best 3 people have to get the same work done. And so kind of keep that in the back of your mind, and don't take it on as more pressure for yourself. Like, I have to be the best and I have to be this. No, it's an opportunity for you to really learn and really understand yourself and really understand what motivates you and what you're passionate about. So then you can actually bring your best self to, your next role. And that's really it. And that's what employers look for.
I could not agree with you anymore. I mean, I always think of, what Simon Sinek, who's one of my favorite authors, speakers, his very first TED Talk, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. You may not have, as much education as, this person, but you have this passion, this drive, this tenacity that is so palpable, and people see that. They want that. They're hungry for it because they know that you're going to put in more effort than the person who has, a bunch of experience, a bunch of education, but it's sort of like, I could take it or leave it, right? Like it's going to absolutely set you apart. And I would really strengthen that for people who want to make a pivot or a change in their career. It doesn't necessarily matter that you don't have all of the, maybe your experience is in something else, but, you've decided, through, soul searching, whatever it is, during this process, that you want to, kind of change the direction of your career. That is
Mhm.
going to shine through. That passion, that personality, that drive is going to shine through in the way that you speak about it, because passion and personality matter. It's like, that's your intrinsic motivator.
Yeah.
And that's your why, and getting in touch with that. So I love that. And I mean, it's, you and I are so aligned, of course. I mean, I'm not surprised. We can go months without talking. It's like we get on the phone and it's like, we've no time has passed at all. Um, Awesome. Is there anything else, any other piece of advice? Or, I mean, we can keep it short and simple. I think that's,
Sure.
one of my favorite things is keeping things short and simple.
Yeah.
But, I job interviews suck. And you said that. I mean, they're fucking awful. I mean, they're hard. They are. I mean,
Yeah.
you're on, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you. And so I think, to your point, like, just now is the time to really hone in on those skills and get comfortable with doing it, and be comfortable and be in your own skin, and
Yeah.
sit in your why and be very clear on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Shauna. Like, what an amazing thing you're doing. And just best of luck, right? Like, whoever's, tuning in and kind of getting something out of this little conversation. I mean, what I'll leave you with this is that um, you know, at the end of the day, right? Like, we look back at our careers and our legacy and kind of what we left behind. And honestly, like, it's just really the people, and it's the impact, right? And so as you're, it's so easy to get stuck in titles and pay and, level and, power and blah blah blah. But like, when you're having these conversations, right? Like, really, really look for, is this a person that I'm going to learn from? Is this a person that I can contribute to? Because that's something that people don't think about a lot, right? Like, you're constantly like, you're in the spot of like, I got to impress them, right? But no, like, people, if you are a person with a growth mindset, you look for others that are also people with growth mindsets, right? And that actually shines through for sure, right? So like, when you're in an interview, don't forget that it's a two-way interview, right? Do not forget that you are looking for a place that, you can be your best self as well. So ask the questions. Well, what do you do to develop yourself, right? What's important to you to grow and, to continue to learn, right? Because that's really important to me, right? Like, I'm so clear that, the way in which our world is transforming every day is going to be about that. And it's how quickly and how open you are. Sorry, I know I said one thing, and I know we have a
You,
couple minutes.
you can take as
The
much
other,
as you need.
yeah, the other really important thing is, and this I had to learn very much the hard way. And again, 15 years of experience, and up until 3 years ago, almost every single role I got was through an introduction from a previous manager or a previous leader, and it was very interesting. And so, and that happened again here at Compass. However, before I, you know, accepted and took the role that I'm in now, and it's transformed a lot over the last 3 years. But I went through 10 different companies and many, many, many rounds of interviews with 10 different companies with 0 offers. Okay. And that had never happened to me before. And, and it was kind of like a shock, and it was kind of eye opening. And it was kind of like, you go through, what am I missing? What's wrong with me? Have I lost my spark? Have I lost my edge? This was second nature. I've never not gotten an offer, like all those things kind of go in your head. And what I got to tell you is the last almost 3 years of my career have been probably the most challenging and the most rewarding at the same time. And what got me here was actually vulnerability. And I know, like, people use that word a lot. Vulnerability is a strength, and vulnerability is so powerful. And, it's not weakness. And I know you all know that, but here's the deal. Like, just actually getting down to the nitty gritty of it, and being vulnerable and just saying, hey, look, this is it. This is the last company I've interviewed for. I really actually want this job, right? And I never did that. Like, called the next day and said, hey, what do you think? Like, I'm in, or what do you think? And it actually made the difference for me. And it took a shit ton of vulnerability to do that, because it sets you up for being vulnerable to rejection and being vulnerable to all these things. And I had just gone through these 10 companies saying, you're so great, you have all this experience, but not the right fit right now, and I was like, well, this is it, and I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for taking that shot. Like I said, transformative 3 years of my life. I got to meet Shauna and like so many hundreds of incredible people that I know I'll have relationships for a while. And like, you don't know what's on the other side of that vulnerability unless you take the leap. And so we're in a world where just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, just make that the new normal, right? None of this is comfortable. Pandemics, not comfortable, right?
Oh,
Quarantining, really not comfortable, right? Like,
comfortable is my elastic waisted pants that I've worn every day. That has been
yes,
comfortable about it.
right.
But to that point, nothing good is going to come out of being comfortable, right? Like, it's growth mindset. And it is, that reaching out piece. It's hard for everybody. Should I reach out? I feel bad. Yes, do it, because you at least know one way or another, right? And you can move from that place. That will be your new foundation. Thank you so much. I cannot express my gratitude enough. Thank you so much for taking the time to, give us your words of wisdom about, looking for a job. It's hard. It's amazing. It's crazy. You guys, Sarah is a huge resource. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, of
You're
course.
extraordinaire. And
Yeah.
awesome. All right. This is Microdose
Thank you very
Wellness.
much.
If you have any comments, leave them below and we will answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.